Still ready to roll.
I'm good.
All right, ladies and gentlemen. This is part four of Monogamy versus Open Relationships. King and I Life podcast with myself, Soul Touch of the Poet, Sun Soul X, and our special guest, Kiss Chanel. Wow, we've touched on a lot so far. Um, Before the break, Sun Soul X was giving his opinion on this swingers thing. So we're gonna pick that back up and, whew, boy, balls deep, baby.
So I'll speak on that part since the two gentlemen have spoken on the swinger thing. I would have to agree as well. I could not do that. I wouldn't even suggest that I would be willing to do that personally. I don't want to know my man is balls deep with someone else or he giving her that mouth work that he give me. I mean, I just wouldn't, and so I do respect people who could have that honest conversation and that commitment to do that. But I don't want to know it, and I don't even want to see it.
Hmm.
I don't even want to think about it. In fact, I'm to the point where I don't even ask you about your previous relations before me because I want to treat like it's this brand new dick. I know you're not no virgin, but I'm gonna treat you like you brand new.
Oh man.
That helps me with my mental, so I could just do what I need.
Wow. Anything else on that?
It got
Uh, no.
Oh
Um,
man.
no, I have nothing to stretch on that one.
Oh. Oh.
ooh, stretch. Lord of Jesus is the vocabulary
I
tonight.
did. Oh man. So now we jump down into polygamy, having more than one intimate relationship at a time, consensual and knowledgeable by all parties involved, and in brackets, friends with benefits. Well, who wants to jump on this first? Because I refuse to jump on it first.
No, come on, jump on it first. You haven't jumped on any topic first. You jump first.
Um, Having more than one intimate relationship at a time. I've done that before. Um, but it wasn't consensual and knowledgeable to all parties involved. Um, I would have to say when I was in my second marriage, uh, I probably had a few, flings out there. She had an idea but didn't know for sure. But as a woman, I'm going to say she knew. Um, and the women that I was dealing with, they knew I was married. Um, so I really can't say that I'm totally against that. Um, and I think that goes back to what we were saying in the beginning. But the only thing is with that, you have to be open and let everybody know, hey, this is what I'm doing. Um, would I do that now? I would say no because I'm kind of hesitant of getting into a relationship. But from and another thing from the TV shows that I've seen, where they just have polygamy shows and all this, that, and the other. I it just for me it blows my mind to see it on that level, especially when you have that one guy and he has three and four women and they got 9, 10, 11 kids in the house. I can't do it. I just can't.
Um, I will say this: if again, the possibility came up in my present situation, would I explore it? Yes. Again, only because I feel mentally my space is creative enough to allow me to handle the situation properly,
Mm-hmm.
meaning, i.e., everyone's open, everyone's on the same page. Um, Again, we're doing something beyond just um, spreading our seeds, as they say.
Right.
We're actually building something. Um, Again, I think it starts with each individual, mentally, spiritually, and to a certain aspect, physically. You have to be ready to be a part of an undertaking like that.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're not there, you're just not there. It's not something that's built and shaped for everyone. It's not.
Right.
It's just, certain individual it works for, and certain individuals, it won't. So that's my
Mm-hmm.
bid on it.
Um, my bet is, I think I've shared already that I just wouldn't be into any of it. But I'm curious. My curiosity is, I guess, not minding my own business. I want to mind somebody else's business because I want to know, well, how do you develop so much nut? How are you going to have that many orgasms if you are sharing yourself and spreading yourself thin? Like, is there some type of enhancement that you are, you old girl at 1 p.m. and then when you go to the other room, you can hit off the other one by 6. Like, I'm kind of curious to
Um,
know. And it's the same thing with women. Like, are you going to be able to continue to have orgasms and things like that because you're dealing with multiple men? I'm curious to know that
to
because
get my
usually to me, if you just continue to be banging all day, you're not really have an orgasm sometimes. I mean, your cum gets drained eventually, doesn't it? I would think. Like, do you need a couple of hours to re-up? I'm just kind of curious to where it becomes. It's not It's like a sport. It's not. I want to know. Is it pleasurable? I guess I'm curious.
to answer that question from my perspective as a man, when I was out there doing it, having multiple women in one day, and I think at one time I was like 3 or 4 women a day, and I was doing that 2 and 3 times a week. Um, it comes with one, you have to be physically healthy. Um, Another thing, you have to be mentally into it, and then with some of those people you have to be emotionally into it. It's almost like a different experience with those different people. And that goes back to what Son was saying in the beginning of the conversation. One person brings this, one person brings that, one person brings something else. And although he was talking about different roles, for me sexually, one person brought this, one person brought that, one person brought that, and another person brought that. So for me, it was like, shit, I was in my late 20s, early 30s when I was doing that. So it was, I was in better health. I had the physical, mental drive, and emotionally I had certain emotions for certain people, and for other ones I emotionally blocked out certain aspects of that. The problem that I ran into though was I would do it, and sometimes it became a chore. And afterwards, I would finish and be like, "Damn, why the fuck did I just do that? I feel like a piece of fucking meat." But it was a routine that I was doing because it was feeding my desires, all of my desires. Some people may call it narcissism. Some people might call it a whore, this, that, and other. But you know, when I was doing that and I was single, it was like, well, what I'm doing. If you have a problem with it, you make a choice. You have enough information to where you decide if you want to deal with me, excuse me, while I'm doing X, Y, and Z. But as a man, you have to have that physical ability. From women that I've talked to about that, it's kind of no different from when a woman is in a monogamous relationship and she can go 3 4 times a day. you know Sometimes we get that one hit a quitter and we like, yo, shorty, I'm done. You had to give me like 5 6 hours, and she like, nah, I'm ready to go right now. So it really depends on the person. That's just my
Mhm.
opinion on that.
I can respect that. I always thought it's because you might have some type of connection, and that's why I said in the beginning of this conversation that intimacy is not a sport. as I'm concerned, because when you're into each other mentally, emotionally, and physically, I could just give you a hug and you getting right. You know what I mean? Or vice versa. You know, you tell me you're coming over and already I'm excited every which way. And so when you are spreading yourself thin, or people that you don't have those connections with, or you choose, I'm not going to allow myself to have these connections because it's just this piece, you don't have that. So that's why I was wondering, do you still, can people still get their shit off? I guess essentially they could, if it's driving an ego or just that actual need.
I would say, for me, back in my younger years, at one point, um, when I was really on my game, I was dating like 7 women. It could have been more, but I had to give myself rest. I had to get that. Um, and again, not bragging, because I think, and I look back, at that time in my life, and I kind of look like, do you really know you're on some real bullshit back then, right?
Mm-hmm.
But that's the more mature person now. Um, but back then it wasn't a thing for me. You know what I'm saying? It was the touch, because each one of these women, again, they provided something different for me. So it wasn't an issue of, can you get it up and can you keep it up? It was, you do this for me. This aspect of you brings out this aspect of me, and that's where we collide. Um, I think that for someone of my age now, though, again, if I was, my situation was different, um, I think I would still be. I don't know if I'd be able to handle 7 or more, uh, but I know for me and my wife now, um, the chemistry is still there. The touch that she provides for me, both physically and mentally, they're there.
Mm-hmm.
So my body might not can't cooperate with me the way my mind does.
Mm-hmm.
But I think if you have a connection with someone, then that connection will ultimately lead into the rest of your body following suit.
Yeah.
So I don't think it's necessarily about numbers. It's about having a connection with someone. And I'll leave it at that.
And let me piggyback off of that before Kiss jump back in if she wants to. You spoke about connections earlier, and I understand what you're talking about as far as connections, because your focus with your connection is with one person. Although you're capable of having that connection with more than one person on that same level, it
All
may
right.
vary, to degrees or whatever the case may be. And with men, it's no different. We have a certain connection with, if we chose to be out with multiple women, we have that connection. We may that we may have one or two women that, the connection is not as emotional. It could be mental, it could be physical, but there is a connection there that we create with that woman. And you know a problem with that is women don't think that we have that connection, or a lot of men can't articulate that there's connections there. But you have to understand that a connection is a connection. You may not like it, you may not understand it. And that also
Mm-hmm.
goes back to what Sun was saying in the beginning. How can you say to anybody that you can't have certain feelings for more than one person? Because you look at your mother, you look at your father, you ain't gonna say, well, I love you. You love them both. And to take that even further, people will like to say, well, that's different. No, it's not different. You know, if you want to say that's different, okay, well, you had 2 kids. Pick one. Oh, I can't pick one. Well, you have to pick one.
Yep.
Well, I can't pick one. Okay, so if I dealt with this woman for 3 to 6 months, and we may not be as tight or spend as much time together, or my love for her never went away. I could be with this woman over here, and we've just starting out, and we love each other, blah blah blah. That's not gonna stop me from loving that person the same way I still love it. If we went our separate ways amicably, and let's just say, you know what, one day, you know what, I still love you. Let's, get together, whatever the case may be. So everybody has connections, and that's what makes it possible. I'm not going to say easier. That's what makes it possible for anybody, man or woman, to be able to be in a polygamous situation, um, and or have friends with benefits, or however you want to define it. I mean,
I think that's where it comes. I would slightly disagree. I agree with both of you that it is possible to end up falling for someone or having some type of feelings, just same scenarios that you guys have been given. But because of that, because we are human and we do feel, that's why I think you shouldn't open the door for that unless you are mentally ready
mm,
and in that marriage or that relationship says that you guys are in agreement. Because for example, it could be start out just so innocently, beautiful woman, you're not even saying nothing inappropriate or anything, right? But you spend so much time together and then all of a sudden you guys exchange numbers. First it was cool, wasn't no big deal. Her car broke down, now you're bringing her to work,
mm-hmm,
so you're seeing her first thing in the morning. Like you've opened the door to really start to fall for someone, even if you did not plan to, even if that wasn't your intent
right.
to do that. Because again, we are human. I think everybody, men and women, do feel. And as you spend more time, you get to know that person. You're like, wow, she's really cool. Like she's down to earth. I do have my wife, but I'm kind of I do have feelings, you know, for Cheryl or whatever, or vice versa. The guy, wow, he always says I'm beautiful first thing in the morning. My husband, he hasn't said I was beautiful in like 3 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
I know I'm beautiful, but he hasn't said it. But when I come to work, Kevin always says it. That's my work husband. You hear those jokes. Oh, that's my work husband.
Ain't no
The next thing
such
you
thing.
know, you banging at the copy machine. Sorry for my tangent, but I do agree that you can end up falling for someone. But does that mean that you had opened the door to do so?
I
Because if
agree.
you limited that interaction, then I feel that you don't put yourself in that situation to fall for someone if you have limited that interaction.
I'm gonna step out here and just say from a married man point of view. I'm gonna step away from being a son for a second here and just be Jay. I have had women approach me simply because I am married.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm married,
And we know that happens all the time.
yes. Um, but with that being said, I know who I am. So I don't give a damn what you look like or what you may bring to the table in the area of trying to manipulate me. It's not going to happen because I know who I am and I know what my marriage means to me. So I think that any and every married man can agree, that you have to really weigh your options and you decide what means more to you, a roll in a sack or this empire that me and my wife are building.
Mm,
Right.
So
speak, uh, speak. I love that empire that you are building because that's called discipline. You're
it
in a
is.
that you're disciplined.
It is. I mean, there are plenty of beautiful women here and on this plane. And I wish I did have that option if I was a single man to get it in like that. But I made my choice.
Mm-hmm.
And I decided to, take on a queen, and we've been building ever since then. So if I just wanted, to have that roll in a sack or to be out there like that, then again, that comes down to my choice, and that's not where I want to be. I'm not in that space mentally in my life at this particular point in time. So again, I think that comes down to each individual. You got to
Hmm.
weigh your options.
And that
whether
goes
you man or a woman, like, is that shit really worth it?
yeah, and
I
that
think
rolls
that's
up.
about the reward and the versus the risk.
But that
True
rolls up
That
that.
into open
True
marriages
that.
now. Um, in open marriage, the agreement where both parties are unequivocally, where both parties unequivocally consent to the partner and entering or engaging in a romantic and or sexual relationship with other people. Um, and that whole thing piggybacks off of what you were just saying. You made your choice, and your choice is to build an empire with your queen and not have those toys out there. Um, to go along with that, I think people in open marriages, I think personally, I say if your marriage comes to that and you want to sit your husband down or your wife down and say, hey, let's have open marriage, I say you just need to get a damn divorce, period. Because I know in my marriage history, people would say, well, it's so easy for you to walk away. It's not that it's easy. If you, again, back to what I said earlier, if you are really living in your relationship, if you are a real factor in your relationship and you're paying attention to your relationship, you know when something is off. You know when something is changing. You know when something is wrong. You know when you're not happy. You know when you're not making your partner happy. So for me, when it gets to that point, whether I cheat or not, if I feel that it's not going anywhere, I'd rather leave you and go have my romantic or sexual relationship with other people as opposed to staying with you, because then I don't want you to be miserable while I'm out doing me. I don't want to be under the same roof with you and we two ships pass in the night. You go out do your thing, I go out do my thing. We come in the morning, we have coffee with each other, breakfast like ain't shit going on. I'm not doing that. That's no. We might as well be apart. There's no logic in having an open marriage like that. People do it for convenience of the kids and this, that, and the other. And I'm like, that's not healthy for the kids. So as far as the open marriage, that's just something that I'm not going to do. I'm going to leave, or I want you to leave. Go and go be happy.
And so I want to just throw a little wrench in there, if I may. So what happens if there is no sexual encounter, but you are mentally engaged with someone else?
Well, that goes to that romantic part. I don't. Again, if I'm just romantically involved with that person and there's no sex, and what I got at home is just not doing it for me romantically, either we need to have a talk and work this out, or we need to part ways. Either way, that's how I see it.
I will say, I'll say this. If you're in a marriage where you're miserable, and this is a hypothetical situation, I'm not telling anyone to do this. Um, but if you're in a situation where you're miserable, um, where you two aren't sharpening each other anymore, or you two aren't growing as a couple or as individuals, I think that moving on is the best thing to do.
Mm-hmm.
I think that I put it to you like this. I view the universe like this, right? Um, you're gonna have friends that come in your life like a comet, right? Y'all gonna be two damn comets zipping and zagging, doing y'all thing. And then all of a sudden you're gonna see one of those comets head off to the right, the other one head to the left or up or down or whatever the case may be. But you have to um, be secure in that situation of knowing, that you and that other comet weren't meant to stay together forever.
Mm-hmm.
Y'all were just meant to stay together for a season, or for however long you stay together. But because that other person went off into another direction, that doesn't mean you have to hate them. That just means that, you guys come to your point on this journey where it's time to separate. So I say that to say that if you're in a situation like that, and you're contemplating that, leaving that relationship, it's okay.
Mm-hmm.
Don't hate yourself and don't hate the other person, because it's just your time to go separate ways.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Agreed.
But again, this is talking about life as far as a marriage. But if you're happy, then stay happy. Again, the thing that me and my wife both have realized about being married is this shit is work. It's just like having a second damn job that you don't get to take any days off.
Mm-hmm.
There are no breaks. There is no damn, well, let me go get some water. No, this is it.
Mm-hmm.
This shit stay on you like breathing. That's what it is. You know what I'm saying? So again, a marriage is what you make it. So with that being said, we are the King and I Life podcast, and we want to thank everyone for tuning in. And we are about to enter into section 4 of this conversation.
Five. We five.
Is it 5? Oh,
We got
damn.
on it.
God damn. Well, that went by
Yeah.
fast.
We'll be
Yes,
back.
indeed.
Part 5 of this conversation, King and I Life podcast.
Yes, sir.